Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I am so excited to do this show today because I have been talking a lot about menopause. But before I get into the show and tell you what exactly we're going to be going over, if you are a first-time listener, welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I love that you're here. And it is the podcast where we educate, empower. I hope I entertain you a little bit and inspire you to live your best life ever, to step into your truth, to be who you want to be and not be somebody for someone else. Because I spent a long time in relationships, not just in my first marriage, but in relationships where I wasn't being my authentic self. I just didn't know what that was. But when something just doesn't feel right and you sort of feel like you have claustrophobia, you can't breathe, you're like underwater, that's when you get that feeling that you're not living your authentic self. And in order to do that, we do need to be fearless. We do need to be courageous, and it's not always easy. And when we allow fear to drive the decisions we make, I'm going to tell you right now, any decision that you make that's fear driven will never have a good outcome. I can tell you from being alive for 62 years, that is the truth. So welcome to the show with that intro here. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We have a 5-star rating. I am so proud of that. We have 100 countries listening to us right now. And you can find me on all of my social platforms at Jody Harrison Bauer. And that includes YouTube. So you could also see this show on YouTube, and you could see what me and later what my guests look like. So as a 62-year-old woman, I have gone through menopause. I went through it when I was 50, which was kind of young, but it's sort of in the average there. And when I was going through it, I didn't know anybody else that was going through it, because all of the friends that I had from my previous life, my marriage, and I was in a marriage from the time I was about 24, almost 25, until I was basically 42. So a long time. I was with the person for 20 years, married for 17, and we had two daughters. They are now 30 and 34. And I lost almost all of my friends post-divorce. I did not know that was going to happen. And I didn't even think about it, because I knew that this marriage wasn't the relationship that I needed. It wasn't going to be my forever relationship. I just knew it. It made me really sad. I tried really, really hard in my own capacity to make it work for the sake of my daughters. But listen, you guys know that it takes two to tango. And if your partner, whether you're in a friendship or a romantic relationship, or even, in the workplace, if both parties are not working on the same thing, then one party is always going to be unhappy. So it's very unusual, if you think about this. It's very unusual to see a relationship where one person is really, really happy and the other one is not content or unhappy. And that's just, it seems, it is common sense, but it's not, because when I did go through my divorce, I realized, of course, my then husband couldn't be happy if I wasn't happy. How could you be really happy unless you're a sociopath, which I'm not going to get into that, but unless you're a sociopath, how can you be happy in a relationship when you know the other person isn't? And so, word to the wise, if you are in a business relationship, a romantic relationship, or even in a friendship, and you feel that there is something off, that's probably because we don't get those feelings of something feels off, or, hey, I might be gaining weight. when you're not gaining weight, unless you have body dysmorphia, and that's another story. So I shouldn't have used that as an example. But usually if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it is a duck. You know, you get it. We just have to really be honest with ourselves. And that's what I knew when my kids were like 8 and 12, that I had to make that bold move and not let my fear stop me from stepping into my truth. Little did I realize that while I was doing that, ahead of me was going to come a very challenging time in my life, not only being a single mom, learning. I was that stay-at-home mom that didn't know anything about the finances. It's very embarrassing, but that's who I was 21 years ago and longer. I've been divorced for 21 years, but that's who I was. I didn't know how much anything cost. I didn't know what our mortgage was. I didn't know anything. And that was part of the problem with me, I guess, that I wanted to know more and I wasn't allowed to. But it is very, very important to walk into a relationship being whole and not expecting that other person to help you fix issues or make you whole. And I didn't think that I was looking for that. I felt pretty whole. But at the end of my 30s, I started to experience menopause, also called perimenopause. So menopause has 3 different stages. I'm not a doctor, but I've gone through it and I know a ton about menopause. So perimenopause is when your hormones basically start fucking with you, and they start, hey, we're running a little low on estrogen and progesterone, and we're just going to kind of start screwing up your periods. And that's when you're like, wait, what's going on? Or sometimes you've heard of women going through menopause or in their late 30s, early 40s who get pregnant because they don't think they're getting their period anymore. So as I was going through that in my late 30s, that's actually when I decided that I was going to get divorced. And in looking back, it probably wasn't the smartest, quote unquote, smartest time, because you're not really thinking right, because your moods and everything is being kind of challenged at the time. So I get divorced. I'm 42. I get out there. I start dating. I have no confidence. I have no self-esteem. I don't even know where my self-esteem is. I need to be the best, strongest model for my daughters. I need for them to look up to me in a way that they've never looked up to me, because I was basically just their cab driver, taking them to and from places and feeding them and getting them clothes and that kind of thing. So I needed to step up to the plate and start redefining who I wanted to be in this next phase of my life. And while I was doing this, I was experiencing perimenopause, going out and dating and so on and so forth. And then one of the things on my bucket list after getting divorced, which I wasn't, quote unquote, allowed to do while I was married to this man, was I wanted to compete in bikini shows, fitness shows. So I didn't want to do bodybuilding, but I did want to do where I felt pretty and attractive, and took my health and fitness to the most optimal level that I could. And again, I wasn't allowed to do that. And so that was on my bucket list. So while I was training to be in fitness shows, I was experiencing, again, some perimenopausal things. And I could only say that now, in looking back, I could see some of the mood swings that I had, the things that your hormones control. So our hormones control everything. They control our metabolism. They control our mood. They control everything. And during our 40s, and usually in our late 40s and 50s, that's when we start going into menopause. So if you are a woman in her 40s, early to mid 40s, you might have had some menopausal symptoms like I just described, and then they went away. right? Your doctor might have suggested that you go back on hormones if you were done having children. That's what I did. I went on a low dose of estrogen to help me get my period regular again. And then when I decided that I wanted to compete in fitness shows, that's when I realized that I was going through menopause. My periods were really more irregular. But I didn't experience a lot of the things that I hear women experience. But it was, look, again, you don't realize things when they're going through it, which is why I want to talk about this. I wish there was somebody like me talking about things like this. Remember, I wasn't even on Facebook. We didn't even have Facebook. We're talking 2006, 2007. There was no Facebook, there was no social media. There was like MySpace and something. I don't know. There was Facebook, I think, but it was really for like my daughter's age, people who were going to college. It wasn't for older people like me. So I started getting ready. I started competing. I started getting my body ready for these fitness shows. And while I was going through it, I was also in a new relationship. And luckily for me, I still wanted to, my periods were irregular, but other symptoms like besides the irregular periods, you get the hot flashes and the night sweats. So I really wasn't getting the hot flashes, but I was getting the night sweats. So if you are experiencing any of this right now, or you know anybody who's experienced it, and you're a man and you're listening to it, and you know your girlfriend, your wife, your daughter is going through any of this, have her listen. Because, and for you guys listening, and for you kids listening, that your mom or your sister or somebody you love is going through it, they're not crazy. Okay. They're just going through menopause. And that is the hardest thing in the world, is when you don't have a support system. And I did not. I knew I was going through it, but I didn't know what to do except get my periods regular. And that was done by the low dose of estrogen. By the time I was in it, competing and so on, in my late 40s, whoa, I can't even believe I was doing this. I was competing on world stages and actually won 2 world shows while I was going through menopause. So I won those at 49, at the height of going through menopause. So some of the things that you might experience, or people that you know, you hear them talking about the hot flashes, like ripping off all their clothes. It's real. And the night sweats, that's like, you know, your wife, I'm going to just use the word wife here so I don't have to start using all of these other things, but your wife or you, the sheets are going off and then you get cold. It just really disrupts your sleep. Some women have vaginal dryness, and that's when you start using lubricant. The mood swings, the irritability, the anxiety. Those are the things that I remember the most, is the mood swings. And, you go to a doctor and they're like, well, maybe you should go on, back then it was like Prozac. Maybe you should go on this. And they just want to, when I was going through my divorce, I was on Zoloft, and I hated it because it just sedated me, but it's what I needed because I was anxious. Granted, it was a tough, anxious, time in my life, but I was also experiencing perimenopause. There's also, you do get a change in your libido, or, as many doctors have said, when I listen to and read about the change in libido, it's not just you, but it could be the relationship that you're in also. So that whole sex drive, libido thing, also think about, who are you in a relationship with? Is this the right relationship? And if it is the best relationship for you, if everything is going really well and you still have that low libido, that's when it might be time to seek out a hormone expert. And I'm going to get more into the hormones, because if everything is in its place, and all you are dealing with is low libido, you're not interested in sex, and you want to be interested in sex, then seek out a hormone doctor, and that could help tremendously. Fatigue and decreased in energy levels. I didn't feel the fatigue so much or the energy levels. I probably feel that more now at 62, just because I still have a really bad bedtime routine. Not because I can't sleep, because once I'm sleeping and I sleep really, really well, but it's more about getting to sleep. But we'll get there. So if you have a hard time falling asleep or fatigue, that's also a sign that you're going through menopause. Weight gain. You hear a lot of women talking about the menopause middle. And that is something that I used to talk about to my clients all the time. And we're going to get more into that. There's also increased of maybe going to the bathroom, peeing more often. And then of course, bone density loss and osteoporosis risk. And that's why it's so important to eat well, eat healthy, and do resistance training exercises like lifting weights, using your own body weight, things like Pilates, yoga, as I said, weightlifting, and doing a little bit of cardio. All those things will help you feel better as you go through the tough times in menopause and as you finish menopause and go and you become a postmenopausal woman. So we're going to get more into that. We're going to take a quick break. I'll see you when we come back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We were talking about the menopause middle. And that's something that I didn't really talk about it, but I mentioned it. And there were a lot of women that came to me that were going through menopause and postmenopause and dealing with that menopause middle. And that's because of the weight gain. That's because of the hormonal changes. So if you think about going back to when you went through puberty, all these different things have changed. You're growing hair in places, you are getting taller, you are growing in places in your hips and your boobs, places you never thought you would grow, hair that you never knew would grow in certain places. And now all of those things are changing. So you get all that stuff when you're going through puberty, and then your libido is off the charts, and then you start going through menopause and all those things are taken away from you. So it's really an overwhelming thing, and it is stressful, and it is very, very important to have a very good support system, which I did not have. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming myself. I wish I did, but all of my friends were younger than me, and we just didn't really talk about it. And I'm just so happy that more and more people are talking about menopause. And I'm specifically talking about post-menopause. If you go to my Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, you'll see that I'm talking about that. But we first have to get through menopause. So in order to avoid something like the menopause middle, to feel your best while you're going through menopause and post-menopause, that's after menopause. So for the most part, unless you are taking hormones that are really pushing off you getting your period from stopping, okay? So I guess, and I don't know this for a fact, but I do know some people who have delayed going through menopause, because menopause, getting your period is the fountain of youth. So as long as you can hold on to it for as long as you can, it's great. However, with your period, if you get your period too early and you stop getting your period too late, you could develop breast cancer, ovarian cancer, different kinds of cancers. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not a doctor, but I'm just talking about that the average time that you would stop getting your period is usually in your mid-50s. It's very rare that I meet a woman who is older than 57 and still getting her period, and she can't wait to stop getting her period. but the longer, we can delay it to a certain degree is really, really good. But how do we stay healthy while we're going through menopause, handling our stress and anxiety, handling the weight gain if you're gaining weight? And all women gain a little bit of weight because your body starts changing, just like it changed when you were going through puberty. So obviously, coming from I shouldn't say obvious, because maybe you are a first-time listener and maybe you don't know anything about me. So let me tell you right now, I have 34 years of experience in the fitness industry. I have been training women for over 34 years, training them in their workouts, in nutrition, and helping them feel better and look better and be better in their bodies. And I have personally been working out for 42 years. So I know and I'm aware of the changes that can happen to our body. So one of the ways that we can stay very, very healthy is by working out and by adopting a balanced diet. And if you are interested, I'm going to be talking about this in a little while. I have a meal plan that I created a couple of years ago called the Jody Fit Jumpstart Meal Plan. And it is, call it the 21-day meal plan because it takes 21 days to consistently start adopting new routines. That doesn't mean in 21 days you are going to be this healthy person. It means that for 21 consistent days, you need to be following a healthy meal plan for it to eventually become habit forming. The same thing goes for your workouts. So we could avoid the menopause middle by adopting a balanced diet, by engaging in regular exercise. So the importance of incorporating nutritious fruits, low glycemic is what I choose, because they don't get into your bloodstream really, really quickly like high glycemic fruits do, for example, like pineapple. And so low glycemic fruits include any kind of berry, apples, pears, kiwi, and peaches, oranges, to name a few. Whole grains, lean proteins, like any type of white fish, chicken breast, turkey breast. If you are a vegetarian and need plant-based, you can go with tofu, tempeh, and foods like that in order to have a balanced diet. And also, it is very important to incorporate healthy fats. A healthy fat would be an avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. Any clear oil is a good fat, and you need to incorporate 2 tablespoons of that into your diet. I don't want to get really detailed. If you want more information, you can DM me or just go to the Jody Fit website. I think it's under jodyharrisonbauer.com, and you can see the meal plan, the 21-day meal plan and journal. I incorporated a journal in there so you can keep a tab on your feelings and how you're going through it. And it also helps while you're going through menopause, while you're eating healthy. Okay. So a healthy diet is definitely going to help you feel better and help you either lose weight or stay at the healthy body weight and body fat and BMI that you are now. And you don't have to get on the scale. You can take a picture of yourself. You can take your measurements if you want to change the way you feel in your body. And the only way you're going to transform the way you feel in your body is to include sufficient amount of lean protein. As far as exercise goes, everybody who starts engaging in exercise, especially when they've gained weight because of menopause, they think that they have to go super, super hard in order to lose the weight. I'm going to tell you right now, wherever you are in life, but especially during menopause, you cannot outrun the fork. So if you decide to indulge in fatty foods, fried foods, high sugar foods, don't expect to get on the treadmill the next day for an hour and outrun it. It ain't going to happen. You need to eat healthy. You cannot outrun the fork. You can continue to lose weight, get stronger, be healthier, make sure that your heart is nice and strong by eating healthy and exercise, including some cardio, where you don't have to kill yourself on the cardio. You people that are on a cardio machine for an hour watching TV and reading a magazine, you just get off. All right. Get on there for 20 minutes, go hard, and then go home. All right. Because the hour on the cardio machines is a waste of your time. And from my over 34 years of experience, and I don't mean to sound like a real smartass here, but I know what I'm talking about. Your body will not transform. And if you're being honest with yourself, you know that because you've tried doing that. You cannot outrun the fork. You need to have a healthy diet and you need to include exercise and cardio. So you need to have a balanced diet. As I explained, you need to include cardio, and you need to include resistance training. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Here we go. One more time for the sound bit, because something weird just came up on my computer and I was distracted for a second. So you can't outrun the fork. You need to have a balanced and healthy diet with whole grains, low glycemic fruit, lean protein, and then working out, doing resistance training, doing a little bit of cardio. You can get on that cardio machine for 20 minutes. You don't have to kill yourself doing it. I don't. I'm only on cardio for 20 minutes because my diet is really healthy. Okay, moving on. When you exercise and when you're eating healthy, that's going to help lower your stress. Although I just got stressed out with this thing that showed up on my computer. I don't know why these things happen to me. I don't know. So eating healthy, exercising regularly is going to help reduce your stress. You can also include some type of meditation and yoga. I started doing that in my 50s. It was something that was missing because I couldn't go hard all the time on my workouts and just going strong. And I wanted to also, and ladies, I want you to hear this. If you work out, I want you to hear this because it is so important that we embrace our femininity. It is so important that we embrace the feminine side of ourselves. So when we're working out and we're going strong and we're going heavy and boom, 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 that's the masculine side of us. And for me, because at that time of my life, I was divorced. I was in survival mode in so many ways that the masculine side of me was really going strong. So whoever I was dating at the time, I feel like Carrie Underwood said, Jesus, take the wheel. I needed someone to take the wheel from me. I needed for him to be the man and for him to take over because I couldn't be the quote unquote man all the time. So when I started meditating and doing yoga, I loved it. I danced for 12 years and it was mostly ballet, and I needed to go back to that peaceful place in my life. And it really, really made a difference. I loved it. And having that balance in your life, ladies, is very, very important. And for you men who are listening, please suggest this to your beautiful significant others, because managing stress has an impact on your overall well-being. And I will tell you that I know that for a fact. And if you're listening to the show, I know you know that. Now, the other thing that we can do to stay healthy while going through menopause, and all of these things are post-menopause also, is prioritizing sleep. And I know it's hard. I am being honest with you right now. I still struggle at times. I struggle a lot with the sleep because, as I said at the beginning of the show, I have a really, really bad sleep time routine. I start doing things at 10 o'clock at night, and then I get a second wind, and then I can't go to sleep. And then I want to watch something on TV because I don't really feel like reading. And all of those things lead to me just not falling asleep until 1 o'clock. So it's really, really tough. It's very, very important that you do create a very lovely and low key sleep time routine. Just like you have you have a time to work out, you have a time to eat, you have a time to do yoga and meditate. You need to make sleeping a priority. Trust me, I know, because the effects of adequate sleep on hormone regulation and weight management is key. So if you have gained weight, if you feel very stressed out, take a look at your sleep schedule. Take a look at how you're getting ready for bed, how well you're sleeping, and maybe you need some help with that. Again, this all goes back to while we're going through menopause is the hormonal changes in our life. In keeping with the healthy diet, in keeping with the workouts, in keeping with meditation and yoga, limiting alcohol is key. It is going to help you lose weight. It is going to help you feel better the next day if you drank a little too much and you have a hangover. And it is also just overall, it's too much sugar. You don't need that crap anymore. Like, just, you know what? Just small doses of it and you'll be good. Trust me, you're not going to miss so much. That's just my personal advice. And of course, I've never smoked. I know it's hard to quit, but try to avoid smoking. It's going to help you live longer. And my personal favorite, for somebody who is a sun worshiper, just for overall skin elasticity, manage the time that you are in the sun. And if you are using a sunscreen because you're going to be out in the sun for a long time, wear some type of cover up. And if you are using a sunscreen, make sure that it's mineral based. The other thing that I wanted to add to this is that with all of these things said, I want to make sure that you have a healthcare provider that can help you along this journey, because there's so many healthcare providers that, including OBGYNs, that don't necessarily help women get through these times. And for me, it took me until I was 60 years old to finally get my hormones balanced. So I got in there like in the 10-year window to try to optimize my hormones. I figured, okay, I'm 10 years out. I'm good. I survived and I've gone through the ups and the downs. But a friend of mine had started hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, BHRT. And I started 2 years ago. And it's made a huge difference. It, again, going back to the sleep, it is more my issue of creating a better sleep routine before I go to bed, because I know that's really what the issue is. And I want you to know that if you are going through menopause or you are with somebody who's going through menopause, that she's not crazy. Okay, she's not crazy. And ladies, what you're going through right now does not define your worth. You are amazing. You are a badass. You are kick-ass. And I love you. And I know it's hard, but don't let it diminish who you are. We're going to take a quick break and I'll be back in a few minutes. Hang in there. I wanted to share. Okay, do we go into it?
All right, so I'm gonna bring you back in. All right, after this next one.
All right, I didn't know how we were going to do that. Okay.
All right. So I'll let you know when we're coming right back in.
All right, and then I read these, and when I'm done, what will we do? Because I don't know if it's going to take 2 minutes.
Let's see if I can just bring it into another commercial and then come right back.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so 10 seconds out until coming. All right, so we're coming back in for the read. She wants to do a live read.
Is that Aaron? Oh God. Now? Okay. I wanted to share something that I've been using for a long time. For about 3 years now, I have been using Wellbell. Wellbell is science-backed and was created by Dr. Dan. The problem with so many hair, skin, and nail supplements is that they have too much biotin in them. They have large doses of biotin, and too much biotin can lead to breakouts, rashes, and acne. Wellbell has 500 mcg of biotin compared to 2,500 to 10,000 mcg in other supplements. Wellbell provides the proper amount of essential vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients to equally help support healthy hair, skin, and nails. It is suitable for women over 18 who are not pregnant or breastfeeding, so please make sure to consult with your doctor before using. Saw palmetto, a main ingredient, helps balance hormones, as we were talking about, and keeps hair growing only where you want it. I need to tell you guys that this is an amazing product, that my hair has grown so much and the quality of my hair has improved so much. Please, please go to wellbell.com. You can use my code JodySub10 or Jody10 to get 10% off. So go to wellbell.com. That's WELLBEL.com. Use my code JodySub10 or Jody10 to get your discount. I also wanted to mention Sakara, which is a plant-based delivery meal plan. They deliver the food to your home. It is delicious, it is nutritious, and it is plant-based. So if you are looking for a plant-based alternative and you don't know how to create delicious meals for yourself, that was my issue. I decided to use Sakara. So I can't even tell you how delicious these meals are. And I don't know how they do it with plant, but they do, and it's so good. And I wanted to share my code for 20% off your first order. Just go to Sakara, that's SAKARA.com, and use the code EXOJODY to get 20% off your first order. And lastly, I have been talking about my Jody Fit meal plan. So if you are interested in losing weight, maintaining weight, feeling overall better in your body, and you just don't know what you're supposed to eat, how much of it that you need to eat, go to jodyfit.com or jodyharrisonbauer.com, and you will see the Jody Fit 21-day meal plan. And it is, I put my heart and soul into it. So just go there. It is everything that I'm talking about, and you will have the guide that you need with the 21-day journal. So on with what we were talking about. I just love everything, and I hope that you are learning so much about menopause. And if you think that you were going through menopause, but you weren't really sure, hopefully this has helped you figure it out and understand that you are not going crazy, ladies. I remember my mom went through early menopause, like after she had my little sister, like mid-30s, which is really, really early. And her doctors told her she was crazy. And they wanted to put her on all types of medications, and it wasn't good. I remember it. I remember it very well. So ladies, you're not crazy. You're just going through menopause, and it will get better after menopause. So it's not about simply surviving life right now. It is about thriving, getting ready to thrive. You're just going through another passage in life that is going to bring you into this beautiful woman that you are flourishing into. So as hard as it is right now, I want you to embrace what you're going through right at this moment, because you are going to thrive and you are going to kick such ass afterwards, because you survived menopause and now you're going to thrive as a woman over 55. So we talked about the diet and the exercise. And you might be thinking, oh, yeah, I know all that stuff. I know all that stuff. But it really, really is true. And one of the things that does become really challenging also is as you're changing as a woman, your relationships might change, how do we feel our best? We went through the exercise and the eating. Okay, that's great, Jody. But the other things that we have to do, like, self-care. Nobody told me when I was going through menopause that, Jody, you got to take care of yourself. Like, nobody told me that. I was a single mom. I was dating. I was trying to figure stuff out for myself. And, I worked out because I wanted to do fitness shows, but I never thought, oh, self-care. We didn't have those words to throw out like self-care, but I want you to take care of yourself. And that means, making sure that you're getting your mammograms, making sure that you're getting your regular checkups, making sure that if you need to talk to somebody about the stress and anxiety that you have in your life, that maybe you do look out for a hormone specialist, and you do look for a therapist, somebody else you can talk to, because maybe nobody else understands what you're going through. There are pelvic floor exercises you can do, but that happens when you work out also and when you do yoga. I don't need to get into all of that, how you do it, but that is just something that is very, very important. Another key component of staying healthy during menopause and postmenopause, so these are all for during menopause and afterwards, is making sure that you have social support. I have mentioned that many, many times already, but having friendships and having that support of people that you can trust is key in getting through this tough time, because it is challenging and most women don't want to admit it. And they feel like they're not being fierce and fearless and courageous and strong because they're showing some weakness. You know what, ladies? It's okay. But find somebody that you can talk to, a friend. Maybe she's going through it. Maybe she's already gone through it. It's just incredibly important. And I wish that I had it when I was going through it. Something else, that maybe you are an empty nester and you might want to pick up a hobby. Everybody's doing pickleball, not me. Maybe it's time that you try that workout class. So you just start walking. One of the things that I started doing that I didn't put a lot of credence into was walking, because what the walking does, not only are you using your body and your breathing and all that other stuff. I don't mean to say all that other stuff, but all that good stuff that comes along with walking. I don't track my steps, or I don't do anything like that. That's not to say it's not good. It's just not what I do. Is that you get outside and you breathe. Okay. You get outside, whether it's hot or cold or raining, you get outside and you move your body, but you're outside, you're thinking, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just outside with nature. It's very important. And as your body is changing, I want you to stay positive. And if you do all these things, you have a healthy diet, you have friends, you're in a relationship that's loving and caring and positive and compassionate, and you've got all the wonderful people around you, that's going to help you manage any type of stress or the way you feel about yourself. So many of us, myself included, you go through your body changing. It's so important to keep that positive attitude about your body. Don't get down on yourself. Please don't get down on yourself. If you do all the things that I'm suggesting that you do, you will feel better. I promise you. If it's weight loss, then you might need to put more of an effort into it. But again, I always say this, it depends on what your goal is. And once you decide what your goal is, make sure that you have a realistic plan. Your goal needs to be realistic and your plan needs to be realistic. How are you going to get there? So the things that we're talking about today are overall wellness. And one of the things that changes is, as I mentioned before, you might be experiencing low libido, and you feel that maybe your relationship sexually is not really where you want it. That is where you need to educate yourself and talk to your partner. Or if you don't have a partner, figure out what it is that you can do for yourself, self-pleasure. And there is nothing wrong with that. And I know I don't even need to say that anymore because the women today are just so empowered. And I sound like an old lady saying that. But back when I was, in my 40s, none of my friends who were married had vibrators. And I had a lot of them and I used them because I needed to explore my sexuality and I needed to feel good. And part of being a whole person, we're talking about being a woman, being a whole woman, is feeling sexually empowered, being educated on how your body feels and how you want to feel in your body in a sexual way. And don't ever apologize for that, ever. So always educate yourself, stay informed on what's going on in your body, reach out to the experts in the field. I have been blessed by helping so many women that have walked through my studio door, and it has been my privilege to help them. And I want you to understand, ladies, that aging is a privilege. Going through menopause is tough, but you're going to get through it. And I want you to celebrate every milestone. Turning 40, turning 45, what the hell? Turning 50, turning 55, and then my last milestone was turning 60. I did that 2 years ago. And while you're going through all of these different changes, as I mentioned, feeling sexually empowered is very important because going through menopause does kind of fuck with us a little bit. And if you are in, whether or not you're in a relationship or not, if you are in a relationship, I want it to be a healthy one for you where you can self-explore, explore with your partner, having fun, dress up, try sexy stuff. As long as you're in a safe space, that's all that matters. So don't give up on the sexual well-being. That is as important as everything else because it's the well-being of the entire you. So one of the things that I talk about are the challenges. We've been talking about the challenges, but I want to talk about the joys. So one of the joys of going through menopause, being postmenopausal, is, as I said at the beginning of the show, embracing your authenticity. This is you, and there's only one you, and you are beautiful, and you are strong, and you don't have to apologize for what you're going through and how you feel. The right person will be supportive of anything that you're going through if you're in a relationship. And if you're not, then you need to do all these things. You should always do all of these things for yourself. But from my experience, the first thing you need to do is educate yourself on how you feel, how you can feel better, whether it's food that's going to change the way you feel, exercise, meditation, going on hormone replacement, BHRT, social groups, a new hobby, and just being out there and being open to new experiences. If you feel, I'm going to just put this little disclaimer, if you feel like you have done all of these things, you're working out, you're eating healthy, you might be taking hormone replacement, you might be doing hormone replacement therapy, and let's just say something else is missing, it's okay to get help. And I started using a therapist when I got divorced, and I still have the same therapist. And she has helped me get through many tough times because even though I do the things that I'm talking about, because I will never, ever, ever on this show, ever, ever tell you to do something that I haven't done. And I'm here to just guide you along because it is a challenging time. But if you get to the point that you're doing all of these things and something just feels off, go talk to somebody. It's very important that you take care of yourself. And when you get to 60, I was scared. I was scared to turn 60. And I started feeling I was good. I was cool. I was 60. I'm like, yeah, let's go. But there are challenges when you turn 60. So if you can do all of these things in your 50s, you will be better prepared to go into your 60s. And 60 is going to be super sexy because you are going to be prepared. You are going to know yourself better than you know anything else in the world. And you are going to go out and into your 60s the most empowered, beautiful woman ever. I only wish that for you. And so thank you for listening to the show today. I hope that I have shed some light and helped you on your menopause journey. It does not mean taking a pause from men unless you want to. And until next week, go live your most fearlessly authentic life. Bye-bye, everybody. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe.